right, we're streaming. Go here and tweet this out.
I think I'm going to do a rant tonight after we wrap about Cruising the Coast.
Okay. Do it on
Because
the show.
I could do it on the show, but also I feel like, well, we need a rant for bonus content anyways. So
All right.
we can talk a little bit about how much it sucks on the show.
Okay.
Because, dude, it sucks so bad.
I know it does.
And of course, like, I make a post about it, and then, like, that one person in my friends list that only comes up to argue with me is like, well, it actually is good for businesses, though.
Oh, shut up.
Like, is it really? The fact that they don't have enough staff to compete with all the people in their building, so they're not making any tips and they're not actually making any money, and no one
Yeah.
can get in their parking lot and no one leaves happy and they leave them bad reviews. That's all good, dude. That's all good.
Yeah, pretty
Okay.
much. All right. Let me hold on. I need to turn this stuff up. Yeah, that went down again. There we go. Now we're cooking with gas. I forgot to turn this back up for Nerd Cave Retro, and it was a little quiet.
It's always a little quiet over there on the Nerd Cave Retro.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Just a friendly zinger there. I love you guys. I'm sorry.
all right. All right. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do this. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Just drop that ass, bitch. It's open micers in the house. Pop that pussy with that open micers logo in your mouth. Jason with his bald ass head. Jacob looking in bed. It's open micers, bitch. Heard what I said. Drop that ass. Open micers in the house. Drop that ass, pop that pussy. Open micers in the house. Open micers in the house. Open micers is a mouse. Drop that ass, pop that pussy. Open micers in the house. The mic is now open.
That's right. The mic is open. My name is Jason Robbins.
I'm Jacob Craig, and I think that my burp was better than our theme song. We should just start the episode by me burping and then just introduce whoever our guest is.
What we need to do is just have you come over one day, or we could do it over Zoom, and I'll just you drink a lot of soda, and then I'll record you doing a bunch of burps, and I can do like a beat made out of your burps.
I like this a lot. I like that it involves me drinking a lot of soda because that's something I enjoy. And I love it even more when the patrons pay for it.
Yeah.
So this sounds like a win-win scenario for everybody.
So sorry to everybody for missing the show last week. I got the vid. I got
Yeah,
COVID
Jason had to
last week.
fake COVID real quick.
Yeah, I had to because it was completely fake, the whole thing, because it doesn't exist. But tell my body that, because my body had something. It had something because it was horrible, and it was terrible. So we took the week off, and I do want to say that I want to give a shout out to our unpaid intern BJ for coming through for me in the clutch. He knows what he did. And I just want to thank you so much for he came through for me big time on a certain thing. So thank you, BJ, for everything you do. And I'm sorry we can't pay you, but one day we will have enough money to.
BJ's, everybody, making Jason feel better.
Yeah. But thank you, BJ, our unpaid intern, BJ DeBlow. Give him a hand, everybody.
Give him a hand and he'll give you one.
Yeah,
that should be his motto for the business he's running. We had to miss last week because and be honest with me, Jason. In the heat of COVID, we've been dealing with COVID for over 3 years now. In that time, have you ever faked COVID just to get out of work for a week?
No, because I don't have that type of a job. If I want to just take off, I can just take off.
Okay.
Rampage says, hello, not Derek, in the chat room.
I forgot to introduce myself as not Derek Diamond. They've been roasting me in the producers chat that I'm not Derek Diamond.
Yeah. I like that. Jacob, not Derek Diamond Craig.
Yeah, that should be my Twitter handle. I should change it. But no, I definitely I had 3 different jobs during COVID. I think 3 or 4, and every single one of them, I've definitely faked COVID to get a week off of work.
Really?
Yeah, dude, for sure. Because everyone's getting it. you know.
Yeah, I mean, if I had a job I hated, I would. But I don't really hate my job, and I have a job where if I want to take time off, I can't. Problem is, I really can't afford to. It's not like I'm not flush with cash these days.
Yeah. Well, I'm not either. I'm just a piece of garbage. And sometimes a week off of work and just a little bit less money is better than wanting to fucking blow my brains out because
True.
I
That's very
have a
true.
horrible job.
So how many times have you actually had COVID?
7.
Are you serious?
And I faked it more than 7 times. Yeah, dude. I've had COVID like 7 times.
Jesus.
It's gotten to the point where I get COVID and then I just deal with it like it's a cold and tell no one.
Wow. Is it because you're a teacher? Is it because you're getting it from the kids?
So that could be something to do with it because during COVID I worked at Pizza Hut, Dollar General. I worked for the city of Ocean Springs, and I worked as a teacher. So 2 of those 4 jobs are working with little kids. So I've gotten upper respiratory infections, strep throat, sinus infections, COVID, just tons and tons of times. I think it's just because there's so many of the kids that like the one of them's gonna be sick. You know what I mean? At all times.
God, it's like you're swimming in a vat of viruses. You're just like, what am I gonna get next?
Well, and I haven't been like sick in a long time. I haven't been sick enough to go to the doctor in a long time. So like even when I get what I think is COVID now, I'll just be like, yeah, I'm not gonna go to the doctor. I'm gonna be fine in 2 days.
Yeah, I didn't know. Like I haven't had COVID. I haven't had. I mean, if I did have it in the past, I was asymptomatic. But I've gotten vaccinated and all that kind of stuff, But when I got this, like it hit me so fast, and I just went down. Like I felt terrible. And then the next morning, I got up and I was gonna try to go to work, which stupid me, but I literally was like, "Fuck this," and I just went to the urgent care, and because at first I thought I used to get migraines when I was a kid, and I grew out of them, I guess, after puberty or whatever, just grew out of them. But I remember migraines being just like vomit inducing, like they were so bad. This headache that I got with COVID was by far one of the worst, if not the worst headache I've ever had in my life. Like at the point I went to urgent care, I thought I had like meningitis or something. Like I thought something was seriously wrong.
Yeah, well, because when you took the vaccine and they put that microchip in your brain, getting COVID activates it, and so it makes you go all fuzzy wuzzy.
Oh yeah, what about the emergency broadcast thing the other day? Wasn't that supposed to activate everybody's 5G network in their head or something like that?
Yeah, that was just a reminder of what they can do. You know what I mean? Subtle reminder right before the Hamas attacks. That's not a coincidence. Jacob's conspiracy corner here, folks. It's all orchestrated.
Yeah, that's some crazy shit, isn't it?
Yeah, and I don't believe anything that they're saying on the news. I mean, come on, dude. They're really on the news. One side is just horrible monsters, and there's absolutely no, both sides of it being at war.
Yeah,
come on.
I'm pretty sure there's some blame to go all around with that situation.
Of course there is, dude, but you just can't put that on ABC News. I sound like a real crackpot tonight, Jason. I'm on one. So let's talk about the vaccines.
So is the Earth flat?
No, but your mom is.
Oh,
dude, I will say, so OG COVID, I got the first round of COVID, and that was serious, dude. When COVID first dropped, like I legitimately thought like I could be dying. Like it was bad. It was the worst I've ever been sick. But I don't think anything has made me feel worse than taking the COVID vaccine. Like the vaccine made me feel like hot garbage.
Yeah. The vaccines got worse and worse as I took the boosters.
Yeah, and that's why I didn't take any of the boosters, because I took the vaccine in 2021 right before I went on tour. I went on a little tour, and I was like, well, I should get vaccinated just so I don't get, just in case I get it on this tour and I don't want to get bad sick or whatever. And so I go to New Orleans for a week or whatever. And towards the end of my tour, I'm in the Mobile Comedy Festival, and I make it to the finals. And my arm from the vaccine, like I had been like sweating, having flu-like symptoms, and my entire arm where they gave me the injection was swollen like a baseball. My whole arm was swollen and red, and where they put the shot in was like severe swelling.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that cost me the Mobile Comedy Festival because I very much could have won that. But I went up last, and I was just, by the time I went on stage, I was just like snotting down my face. Like my arm was sore. There was nowhere to sit down. I had to listen to, people filling time in between comics even. And I'm just like, I want to fucking go home.
Yeah. Well, by the time I got to like the third booster, it was like the first time I got it was just a sore arm, really bad sore arm. Second time I got it, it made me sick for a few hours. Like the third time I got the booster, or second time I got the booster, it was like 12 hours of just feeling like absolute garbage. And then I was like, I'm not getting the boosters anymore. My last booster was last Thanksgiving. And I haven't had one since because I was just like, I'm not getting the booster anymore. I'm tired of feeling like crap. But if I would have just gotten sick for like, I would take 12 hours of feeling like crap over what happened to me last week, honestly. Like 5-6 days of just feeling like absolute dog shit. I'm like, oh, fuck this.
Yeah. See, and I don't know, man. Like I feel like I'm coming off very right wing this episode, Jason. But the fact of the matter is, I don't like Joe Biden and I don't like vaccines, but not for the reasons that you don't like Joe Biden and vaccines, guys. they're just objectively both horrible for you. Yeah. Like, come on. Like I don't get a flu shot every year either. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't get the flu, but man, this COVID thing, I'm like, I might have to go get that booster from now on.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, it depends on the person. Like me personally anymore, dude, like COVID just does not mess with me that much. Like the last time I had it, it wasn't the newest variant, but it was the one before. And that messed with me just because it messes with your eyes now. So like I couldn't see.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't see well enough to drive. So that was the only thing that messed with me.
That's one of the things that has been rough over the last week is I not being able to focus on anything.
Yeah, do you have like floaters?
Oh, dude, my eyes feel like they're floating in my skull. Is what they feel like. Like they're not. I feel like my eyeballs are not attached to anything.
Yeah, they might not be.
Maybe not.
You might just be having a cartoon moment at any minute of just the eyes popping out of the skull.
It could happen. It could happen.
Beetlejuice.
But yeah, that was a hell of a week, man. Dude, I do not recommend 0 out of 10 stars. Do not recommend COVID.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're feeling better, buddy. I'm glad that you got some time off of work because of your fake little disease that you made up. You needed the mental health break.
Mark in the chat room says, "Why does Jacob look like the dude from Full Metal Jacket?"
Dude, shut up, Mark. Mark looks like if you bought Ron Swanson off a Wish. I don't want to hear anything out of his mouth. All right. Mark looks like if I asked a 5-year-old to draw who touched them.
Wow.
Shut up.
Wow. Shots fired.
Gomer Pyle style.
I do want to tell everybody out there, hopefully you're hearing this, but we did some there's some behind the scenes changes that was made to the show. We are now with a new podcast hosting service. We're now with Acast, acast.com if you want to go check them out. We're no longer with Spotify for podcasters. And so your feed should still be the same. Everything should have just smoothly transitioned on over to Acast. But if you're listening to the show and you have any troubles with your feeds or anything, please let us know, and we'll do our best to try to fix that for you.
Yeah, dude. And Spotify for podcasters, it's in the streets with them. It's in the streets with Spotify, dude.
Yeah.
Spotify's the worst.
Yeah.
Can I just say, okay, here's what I have to deal with hosting a podcast with Jason, okay? Because Jason at times, and both of us can, all right, I'm guilty of it too. We can both be very neurotic about things. And what Jason gets neurotic about is that he's very worried about no one listening to our show, right? That we've put out hundreds of episodes. We're doing all this work and all this, wasting all this money, and no one's listening to the show, blah, 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 blah. And I don't have any concrete evidence to prove him wrong, because according to Spotify, we only had 12 people listening to our show. We have an audience of 24 people, according to Spotify, right? And then we switch over to Acast, and on a week where we didn't even put out a show, where there's no new content, 222 streams.
Yep. Didn't even put out an episode. 222.
Didn't even put out an episode.
222 downloads. Like that. Well, that's not even putting out a show. So you tell me if Spotify is screwing people over with their Spotify for podcasters thing.
They're crooked, dude. And we should have seen it sooner, because I tried to get Chartable on our RSS feed so that I know exactly what numbers, we're doing everywhere on all platforms. And Chartable supports everything except for Spotify for podcasters. Spotify will not let you put any tracker on the RSS feed. And then they tell you only have 20 listeners. And then they tell you, well, you don't qualify for ads or monetization because you don't have enough listeners. Well, we have hundreds of listeners, Spotify.
Yeah, because it's saying we're only getting 24 downloads, yet that's just
we have
Spotify
5% of our listeners on Spotify.
Yeah, and if you look at the total downloads for other things, it's 40% here, 40% Apple, 40% iHeartRadio. We're getting down. I could see that we're getting downloads, but it's not being reflected in the numbers until we change to Acast. Now I can see the actual numbers, and I'm like, okay, people are actually listening to the show.
Right. Yeah, and I looked at Chartable too, and all Chartable could tell me with the limited information was that we charted on the Apple charts at 60. And I was like, well, that would have been nice to know. It wouldn't even tell us that. We charted in the top 100 of all podcasts, and then we don't even know about it.
Yeah.
For literally 2 years.
Didn't know about it.
Had no freaking clue. We could have struck while the iron was hot, and we had no clue, Jason. So I'm glad to be done with them, dude. They are royally screwing people over.
So yeah, I moved both of the shows, Nerd Cave Retro, and Nerd Cave Retro was the one that was keeping us afloat, because we were getting enough downloads with Nerd Cave Retro to be making money on Spotify for podcasts. But even there, I knew something was wrong, because I was seeing growth, but it wasn't being reflected in the actual numbers. And now, like I said, I moved both of the shows to Acast. And in one week, between the two shows, we got over 500 downloads on the two shows without even releasing an episode. So I know we're getting downloads that we were not seeing in Spotify for podcasters.
Yeah, those are leftover downloads, dude. That's meatloaf in the freezer.
Yeah.
We didn't even bake a chicken. What am I talking about, Jason? I don't know.
I don't know.
But this has affected our business in tons of ways too, because I had guests who were upper echelon that I wanted to come on the podcast, and they say, okay, send me a spreadsheet of your downloads. And the only spreadsheet I have says we get 12 downloads an episode. So I can't send that to a guest. And then I'm trying to get big sponsors like Blue Chew, Sheath Underwear, HelloFresh, all that. And then they say, give us your RSS feed. We're going to do a deep dive into how many people listen to your show. And so we don't have any big sponsors on this podcast when we definitely should. because we have enough listeners.
Well, it's because you did some guest spots on another episode, and they were the ones that really kind of opened our eyes to it, to Spotify being shady about the numbers. And that's when
Are you talking about the conspiracy theory guys who I sound like right now?
Yeah,
we're like, we're being censored.
But they said that their download numbers were not being reflected in Spotify. So that's when I really started to take a look at it. And I realized, like, something's not right here.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, Spotify is screwing everyone over. If you're any kind of artist who has music, comedy, anything on Spotify, podcasts on Spotify, pull it, dude. Just pull it. Pull it and go somewhere else before it's too late. Because you will lose everything you have if you put all your money and assets into Spotify.
And, you know, I changed all of this stuff over to Anchor before it was Spotify for podcasters, back when it was Anchor. And I forgot where I was going with that. But the thing is, I moved to Anchor because it was free hosting. Mm. And you could qualify for ads almost immediately with like 0 downloads. Like as soon as you went over, you were eligible to do ads. And now the reason I switched to Acast is we are with their free tier, but you can pay. But that's when you're up to like, 50,000 downloads and shit like that. That's when you want to get with like the big sponsors. You can start paying them. But where we're at right now, I don't have to worry about them ever changing policy and charging us for hosting like Libsyn used to, or things like that. So that's one of the biggest reasons why I left Spotify for podcasters, is because I have a feeling any second they're going to come and be like, hey, we're not making as much money off podcasts as we thought, so we're going to have to start charging you for hosting. And I'm not giving Spotify any of my money. I know it's coming. It's going to come.
I'm going to come to you, Jason. Yeah. It's a good segue. So yeah, Spotify sucks, dude. You know what else sucks, Jason? What else sucks? You know what else sucks? It happened this weekend. It actually happened. Jason, they took 2 weekends away from us. They took 2 weekends in a week of our lives. It's freaking Cruisin the Coast, dude.
Oh, dude. Cruisin the Coast, or as I like to call it, the gathering of the Boomalos. I think that might be our title.
Gathering of the Boomalos. I'm trying to think of an insane clown posse joke. But yeah, dude, like on the weekend, I know Cruisin the Coast is coming up. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, all right, this Sunday we're going to go to the theater in Biloxi and we're going to go see the Paw Patrol movie and we're going to have a good time. And then we hit Highway 90 and I see a bunch of people setting up lawn chairs. I'm like, wait, they started yesterday and they're going to next Sunday.
Mm-hmm. It's like it gets longer every year.
It does. It gets longer every year. It's not even a week, dude. It's 11 days.
Well, let's explain to our out-of-town listeners what Cruisin the Coast is.
Yeah, so it's the biggest car show, I think, in the entire country. And it happens down here on the coast of Mississippi, so from like past Christian or I don't.
It's the entire coast. It goes from Bay St. Louis to Ocean Springs.
Yeah, or it goes all the way to Mobile now.
Jesus. Well, yeah. And what they do is like every day or two, they're like doing different events in each city. So like everything, there's this main road that's Highway 90 that runs along the beach, the entire Gulf Coast, and you can't get anywhere near there. And Highway 90 is like, it's like the artery of the coast. Like, it's how you get everywhere. Everything offshoots from Highway 90. So when you have 100,000 boomers coming down in their old, like 1960s muscle cars, and all they want to do is just do like 15 miles an hour side by side down the highway, and you can't get anywhere, it makes you want to just vomit in your own face.
Yeah, and it started out with just classic cars too, and now it's just any kind of car. So you have those kind of people in the antique cars who are retirees who, spent their all their money and all this time to work on this antique car to drive at 20 miles an hour down the beach. And then you have just, young little assholes driving Mustang GTs at 100 miles an hour, swerving through traffic. And so the first 2 days that they were here, 5 people died.
Yeah.
Like, come on, dude. 5 people died. And you know that they weren't cruisers. They were locals. They're coming down here and killing us and leaving and going back
Yeah.
to wherever they came from.
They come down here and they clog up our restaurants. They don't tip. They're assholes. Nobody likes them. Anybody that works in the service industry, this is the worst time of the year because the these cheap ass boomers come down here. They don't want to spend any money. They want to treat you like shit. And they want to fuck everything up, and then they want to go back home.
Right. Yeah, and there's no repercussions for them because, you see from the law enforcement, you see from the mayor, people in the news, the politicians, the people that own the restaurants and don't have to do any work in them. All them say, "Oh, welcome cruisers. We're so happy you're here. This is the best day of the year." And like that's, anyone who's actually in the trenches or even just trying to drive to work. Imagine working anywhere in Biloxi and you have to be at work at 8 in the morning and then you're driving through Cruising the Coast traffic.
Yeah. You can't, it's impossible. And it's one of those things that, living here in a tourist destination, it's one of those things that just sucks. And it happens every year and it always happens, like catches us off guard every single year.
Yeah, because we don't keep up with when it is.
Yeah, like I don't.
And it changes every year too. It's not the same week every year.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not a car person. Like I could give four wheels and a seat. That's all I need to get me where I need to go. I don't give a shit about cars. And then these people just, they're like ants. Like they just come in and just take over the entire picnic.
Yeah. Ironically, on the beach as well. That's a very good analogy because it's all happening on the beach. But dude, they're even doing Cruising the Coast in like where I'm at now, out here in the boonies, in the middle of the freaking woods.
Yeah, because they're overflowing. There's nowhere else for them to go. They're taking up all the space.
Yeah, it's just like they see an empty parking lot, and they got to go, put their hydraulics on or do donuts. There was a lady who died in the mall parking lot because a guy was doing donuts in the parking lot and lost control of his car and flipped it.
Jesus.
Yeah, dude. Like, what happens when you put a bunch of spazzes together in a room? In just one room.
Yeah.
That's basically what's happening. Someone's gonna get hurt.
Yeah, it's one of those things that just, oh God, I hate it when it comes every year.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do an open rants on this subject after we wrap tonight because and we just scratched the surface on the show. I'm going to go in on Cruising the Coast on the Patreon, dude, where I can say whatever I want with no repercussions. Oh, buddy, you better believe I'm gonna go in on Cruising the Coast. And fuck, what else was I gonna say? For the next headliners that we're gonna do for bonus content, I pulled some Cruising the Coast headlines for us.
Oh, nice! I can't wait for that.
Yeah, so me, you, and Wally are gonna go over this together.
Oh man, and it's always in October too. Like my favorite time of the year is October, but it's always marred every year by Cruising the Coast.
Well, it's marred with everything too. I mean, honestly, dude, like I hate the fair. I just hate it. And then it comes to town in October, and then it's like a big to-do for everybody. It's like, just let it be cold. It's finally cold. Don't make me go do stuff.
Yeah.
don't make me go outside now that it's cold and I enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, it's only going to be cold for like a day or two. Then it's going to go back up to like 90 degrees.
Right. Yeah, I got it this morning. It was like 58.
Maybe we should have like the head of the cruisers organization, have him on the show and be like, "Hey, do you know that you suck?"
Oh, dude, they wouldn't come on. They wouldn't know what the hell this is.
Yeah.
They'd be like, "What's a podcast?" Zoom?
Is that something you get on the radio?
Is Zoom? Is that Tim Allen movie? This is the superhero with the fast finger. Is that him?
Yeah, that's him.
That Tim Allen's a hoot. I'll
Oh
tell you
man.
what.
Anything
I
else we
love.
need to cover before we get out of here this evening? I know this is a short one tonight, and so yeah, that's we kind of planned for a short one tonight because I am still recovering, even though it's been a week. Like I'm literally sitting here and I can feel myself start to sweat and get like dizzy.
Here we go, Jason, faking COVID out of another podcast. Can I try to, as quickly as I can, tell my story from Don't Tell?
Dude, go for it.
Okay, I was saving this for a host episode. So you guys remember me promoting my first Don't Tell set a few weeks ago now, maybe over a month ago, and it it was kind of a nightmare scenario for any comic, dude. And this does not like this isn't a negative thing against Don't Tell or any of the producers or performers that were there. The show was actually amazing, dude. Don't Tell is an amazing like company with what they can do because the producer that booked me was kind of like, you still need to promote it, like you still need to share it out and try to get people to buy tickets. And I shared it, and like the only two people that liked my Facebook post were also on the show.
Mm.
And it's a just completely sold out crowd, just packed. They actually sold more tickets than they had seats.
Wow.
Because he just got mixed up and oversold tickets. So there were people just standing up.
Jesus.
Like it was ridiculous because the promotion's just built in with what Don't Tell's built. Like you go to any Don't Tell show, it's going to be sold out.
Yeah.
So it's just such an awesome thing. And the producer Krangus who booked it, he had a fantastic night that night, dude. He was fucking on it with everything that we needed, and the other comics were great. But so it was at this wedding venue, right? Who's obviously never done a comedy show before. And it's owned by these just like hippy dippy couple, like right in the middle of downtown Ocean Springs, like the part of downtown Ocean Springs where you cannot park anywhere.
Yeah.
Like that's where this is at. You got to find somewhere to park and walk. And so they're talking about like, oh, we just want everyone to have fun and we want this to be a great night for everybody. And so Krangus does mic check with them like 5 times because this is a big night for him too. It's a big night for all of us. And so he does mic check with them like 5 times with a wireless mic that wedding people like to use.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm nervous as hell for this dude because I can just feel the energy in the room. I'm like, oh, this is electric. This crowd's going to be eating out of the palm of my hand. And now I'm getting nervous and I'm going to find somebody to fuck all this up. And I'm never going to work in this town again. And I'm never going to be at another Don't Tell show. So the show starts and the first comic goes up. And immediately the microphone starts cutting out.
Oh.
The wireless mic starts cutting out on him. And so he's kind of playing around with it. He's doing some crowd work with the mic cutting out or whatever and doing some, for lack of a better word, prop comedy, I guess, with the microphone cutting out. And he doesn't hit his time. He says not, it had nothing to do with the microphone, but I don't blame him. Like, the microphone's not working. You don't hit your time, whatever. So he doesn't hit his time. And I'm in the green room when he leaves off stage. And so I have to run out of the green room, run outside, run around the entire building to the back door where I come in onto the stage. And so I get to the stage completely caught off guard. And I was holding a beer, which was just splashed all over myself because I was running with it. And I'm entirely out of breath to the point where I can barely speak. And luckily, my opening line was about being out of breath and it killed it, but then I'm just actually out of breath and I can barely talk into the microphone. And so I'm trying to slowly catch my breath while also performing. And this is while the microphone is working. And then it starts going out and I start doing some crowd work while the microphone's going out, start playing around with it like the last guy was doing. And then it just completely dies.
Ugh.
Like at 5 minutes of my set, maybe 10 minutes into my set, just completely dies. So you're halfway through your time and you don't have the one thing that you need for stand-up comedy.
That sucks. That's why you don't use wireless mics with comedy.
And we found out that night, dude, because like I put it away and then Krangus came and snatched it and put new batteries in it. So it worked fine for the next two comics, luckily. But I had to be the sacrificial lamb of the microphone dying on me, and then I'm losing the crowd. So I'm trying to do just loud yelling crowd work at them. And so because it was right in the middle of my set, I'm out of breath for my beginning good jokes. And then I'm on the downslide where, I have my, not my best jokes sandwiched in between my good jokes I want to start with and end with. So I have just kind of my, so-so mediocre bits, whatever in the middle. And I'm at that part of my set with no microphone trying to yell it and get laughs. And so I end up, and not to mention it's being filmed too. And so I was so excited to be getting a free 20-minute tape of this amazing show where everyone's laughing at me that I can put in the clips and get famous. And I'm walking all around the camera where the camera's set up because I'm trying to do crowd work with people and get closer to them so they can hear me. And
that just sounds like an absolute fucking nightmare.
It is a nightmare, dude, because I don't have the one thing that a comic needs. You can take the stool away. You can take the beer out of my hand. You can blindfold me. I need a microphone. It's literally the one thing you need. It's the only thing you need. And so
whose call was it to have a wireless mic system?
The owners.
Ugh.
Krangus specifically tried to talk them out of it, and they insisted on using their wireless microphone. And just completely, threw a wrench in what could have been a perfect night of comedy. Because, they don't know. They're fucking wedding people.
Yeah. That sucks, man. Dude, I'm sorry about that. That's awful.
It was, dude, I was really beating myself up about it. And less about the performance and more of the fact that I didn't know where I was in my set when I started losing the crowd. So I just yell my closer, and luckily my closer kills, and then I just get off stage.
Yeah.
And I only did 16 minutes out of my 20. Damn. So I was just as bad as the guy that made me have to run around to the stage and be out of breath because I didn't hit my time.
So did the show end up being like 15 minutes short of what it was supposed to be?
No, because the next guy just did whatever time he wanted and the headliner went over too. So, there was plenty of show, and I was only 4 minutes short. But I hate, having excuses as to why I didn't hit my time. And the show was going so well that if I did have a microphone, I could have done well over 30 or 35 minutes because I was throwing out so much material when this happened that I had over prepared for this.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I don't hit my time and I'm beating myself up over it. And luckily after the show, people come up to me and be like, you were the funniest of the night and you didn't even have a microphone. You're a fucking beast. Luckily people had nice things to say to me about it, or I would have just completely hated myself.
Well, that's good. It sucks you didn't get a good, clean video of it, though. That would have just been... Yeah. That would have been good for the show here. This podcast could have rode those coattails for a bit.
Yeah, and there's video of it that exists, and I guess if I get my hands on it, then maybe I could clip something out of it, but I'm just not even worried about it, dude, because what part am I going to clip? The part where I'm out of breath, the part where I'm nervous, the part where the microphone dies, the part where I'm yelling crowd work, the part where I'm yelling my closer. What part's a good clip?
Well, look at it this way, Jacob. When are you not out of breath?
That's what I opened with. And it killed, luckily.
Oh,
Thank
man.
God. Thank God me being out of breath tracks.
That gives me anxiety, just you telling that story. That's a nightmare.
Yeah, dude, a lesser comic would have definitely, not been able to even get to 16 minutes on that.
Ugh, man.
Imagine that happening at an open mic to a guy who's less than a year in, who has 5 minutes of material.
Yeah.
Oh, buddy, that's nightmare fuel.
Yep.
You don't have the skills yet, Bubba. You don't got them.
But that's going to bring us to the end of this hostful goodness episode of the Open Micers podcast. We did have a guest for last week, but that kind of fell through. So thank you, COVID, for that falling through. And hopefully we'll get her back sometime soon. But we do have a lot of guests coming up. So who do we have in the docket coming up soon?
Well, it doesn't look good on me that the one female I booked for a while is the one that drops out. So I'm not a bigot, I promise. I'm booking whoever emails me back.
It's not her fault. It's COVID's fault.
Yeah, right. Sure. It's fake. But anyways.
It's fake.
So this Thursday, actually, so luckily we had a weird one scheduled. So we're doing this episode to make up for last week. And then this Thursday, we're putting out another regular episode with some actual open micers. We have not had actual open micers on this show in a very long time. So we've got some guys coming on who are mobile open micers. They've been doing it for less than a year. They are all super hungry and dedicated to comedy. They've never done a podcast before, so I'm very excited to see how that goes. And we've also got Andrew Rudick, Sean Donnelly, and we're capping off the month with Mo Alexander and JP Leonard returning in the same episode.
Yes.
Sounds like a lot of fun to me.
That's going to be awesome. And we've got, Jacob said earlier, we got our extra episode. We're going to do this month, another episode of Headliners. And we're going to have Mr. Wally Phelps join us for that episode. And I love doing Headliners, so I can't wait for that.
Yeah, it's a great format, especially to start having guests with, like, that, guests that we can't really put on the regular show anymore. Because I counted how many appearances Wally has, and I think he has like over a dozen. Yeah. So it's like we can't just do another episode with Wally. Like we got to have something that we can have our friends on with. So this is the perfect thing to do.
So go join the Patreon. You hear? So go join the Patreon so you get all that extra goodness.
See some more Wally, and you get to hear my Cruisin the Coast rant.
Yeah. So Jacob, what's going on? You got anything planned? You got anything booked?
I don't have anything booked that I can confirm for sure right now. But I mentioned in the Matt O'Brien episode, I am booked at a theater. It will hopefully be a solid booking. It's not completely confirmed yet, but tentatively December 9th, I will be playing a theater in Pensacola. Aside from that, I've been mainly focusing on the podcast more than comedy, so I hope you guys are enjoying that content, baby.
Hell yeah. And coming up on October 21st, which is like 2 weeks from now, my band Falls from Grace is going to be playing Tracks Bar and Grill on October 21st with None the Wiser and Rise the Phoenix. Tickets are $20 at the door. Hold on. No, that's for, we actually have a costume contest. We have a costume contest and Jackson guitar raffle that is $5 per ticket or 5 for $20 at the door, which opens at 7. So if you want a chance to win a brand new Jackson guitar, be there. $5 a ticket, get you entered into the raffle. There's free admission at the door. Bring your costume, and you could enter the costume contest, and you could win 200 bones. $200 for the costume contest. So bring it, everybody. That's October 21st at Tracks Bar and Grill in Long Beach, Mississippi. So, Jacob, is there anything else we need to talk about before we leave tonight?
I'll tell you what, there's nothing I wouldn't do for $200. I'll tell you that.
What would you do for a Klondike bar?
I would do things that are against the Geneva Convention and would probably ally me with the terrorists in Hamas.
Oh, well, yeah. So
I would commit acts against humanity.
I don't even know what to say to that. So we're going to go ahead and walk out. I'm going to get us out the door before you say something hardcore right-wing that's going to get us canceled. So if you want to join our Patreon, it's patreon.com/OMPodcast. OpenMicers.com takes you to our website. We have a Linktree, which is Linktree/OpenMicersPodcast. Takes you everywhere you need to go. And I just revamped it. So there's all kind of new stuff on there on the Linktree. So thank you for hanging out with us, and we will see you guys next week.
Wish did 7-Eleven.
All right. Well, that's an episode. So thank you for hanging out in the chat room with us, you guys. Rampage.